a lot of little factoids here, interesting tidbits there, but you're never applying, well, what you are doing is accumulating what I call trivia. And that's fine if you want to be a contestant on Jeopardy. Hello, everyone. Again, I am back. I'm going to be talking to you today about one of my favorite topics, and that is follow through. And if you're someone who perhaps struggles with this feeling that you don't seem to make any progress, even though you're always learning new things, always picking up different bits of knowledge here and there, then we're going to discuss this and we're going to discuss perhaps what the issue is, what the real problem is for you. So this is Mark Johnson, the founder of Bounce Pep, bringing you ideas for a fit and flourishing future. And of course, you know that I am the youngest son of Bill Johnson. So to all my subscribers, thank you. If you have not subscribed, thank you anyway for watching. I do appreciate it. Let us jump in. As I said, just because you are maybe learning different things and picking up different bits of knowledge from here and there, it doesn't necessarily mean that you feel as though you're making the progress that you want to make. And a lot of people struggle with this. It seems like no matter how much they learn, no matter how much knowledge they acquire, they never seem to make the strides that they want to make. So we're going to start off as usual talking about your favorite place, the gym. Okay. And, I see a lot of videos on YouTube of people working out and sharing different tips and different techniques and different variations of exercises. And, it always excites me when I come across someone who, because a lot of these people are very, very knowledgeable about, different workout techniques and everything. It really excites me when I see someone introduce like a new variation of an exercise that I do. Maybe they just tweak it just a little bit in a way that I've never done, because usually what'll happen is I get this feeling of anticipation. I can't wait to get into the gym so I can try it for myself, right? And so the idea here is that when I see something on, for instance, a YouTube video that gives me a new idea or a new technique for working out. Maybe it's just turning my hand in a different direction or something, going from pronated to supinated or a neutral grip or something like that, or just adjusting my posture just a little bit. I get really excited about going into the gym as quick as I can and then testing that out to see if it works for me. So the key here is this. Every bit of knowledge that I pick up, I'm always trying to figure out whether or not it's something that I can apply, right? So this idea of applied knowledge is very important. As you know, the 5 components of the total package are health, relationships, wealth, knowledge, and purpose. And we're going to focus on this thing called knowledge today and how it relates to follow through. Okay. Knowledge and follow through. So again, let's say that you're like me and you've seen videos on YouTube and you get really, really excited when you see a new exercise or a new variation and you just can't wait to get in the gym and try it out for yourself. Well, I want you to think about doing the same thing elsewhere in your life. That's how you're going to take the knowledge, the ideas that you're accumulating, and that's how you're going to really find out whether or not anything is any good for you, right? Because one of the big problems that you can have if you're just accumulating a lot of knowledge all the time, but you never really try anything out, is that you have what I call too much information and not enough clarity. One of the ways that you can find clarity, okay, and then cut through a lot of the sometimes the ideas aren't necessarily bad, they just don't work for you. Okay. And one way that you can cut through all of that clutter is to actually try things, just like in the gym. When you see a new variation or something, you discover a new variation or someone teaches you a new variation, you immediately go and try it out to see if it works for you. So let me just give you this interesting factoid. I was reading this article in the Washington Post because, I love researching and studying all this stuff for you so I can share it with you. And I was reading about the actual reading habits of people, and specifically adults in the United States. And they had a wonderful article about this and really broke down a lot of statistics, and a couple things really, really caught my attention. Number one, do you realize that 46% of adults, now this is just the United States, they did a survey, 46% of adults in the United States have not read one single book in the past year. And then another 5% on top of that have read only one book. So this means that, I couldn't believe it, but this means that 51%, let's just round it off, 50% of people in the United States have not read one single book in the past year, an entire year. Okay. Now, the good news is this. If you read, let's just say 10 or more books per year, then that puts you in the top 20% of people. Okay. So that means that 80% of the people out there are not even reading 10 books per year. Now, I read a lot more than that. I'm always reading. And if I'm not physically just reading a book, then I am listening to an audiobook. So when I add all that up, I read like a lot more than just 10 books a year. But my point is this, it's kind of the same thing as the gym, right? Most people, the vast majority of people are not going to the gym and working out consistently. A lot of people go sporadically or something. They're not really dedicated to it, right? So if you're someone who's really dedicated to it, that puts you in the minority, right? That puts you in the top 20 or 10% of people. The same thing with reading. If you're reading, think about this. All you have to do is read 10 books per year, and that puts you up like ahead of 80% of people. Like 10 books is not that much. It's really not that much at all, but that alone will put you ahead of 80% of everyone else. Okay. So it's not that hard. Same thing with going to the gym, right? All right. The same thing. A lot of people simply don't commit. But let's get back to the point. The big point that I want to make to you is this. I want you to remember that when you read and when you acquire new ideas and new knowledge, the point of it all is to apply what you have read. Application, application, application. Because if you are simply reading and gaining a lot of facts, a lot of little factoids here, interesting tidbits there, but you're never applying, well, what you are doing is accumulating what I call trivia. And that's fine if you want to be a contestant on Jeopardy. But if you do not have any aspirations to be a contestant on Jeopardy, then simply collecting factoids and storing them away in the back of your brain doesn't actually help to improve your life. With that said, I'm now going to give you two specific things that you can do to improve your follow through, because that's what we are talking about is follow through. The first one is this: increase your volume. Just the same way that you increase the number of sets or you increase the number of reps that you're doing when you're in the gym in order to build muscle fast or gain strength faster, it works the same way for the books that you're reading. Okay. Read more books. Now, if you're looking at me, you're probably already someone who reads books because I tend to appeal to those kinds of people anyway, but it doesn't mean that you're reading enough or that you couldn't be reading more. So increase your volume. Okay. Remember what you do at the gym. Increase the volume. Okay. Same thing with reading. Increase the volume. That's first. The second idea is this. I want you to take one idea at a minimum from every single book that you read and actually apply it. Actually apply one idea from every book. That is the point of reading all of these books. It's not simply to pick up factoids, okay? Not simply to entertain yourself. You should be reading to find some idea, discover something in that book somewhere that you can apply now and see if it works for you in your life. And one of the important points about that is it's going to give you clarity, because if one of the problems that you have is that there's too much information and not enough clarity, well, that could be due to the fact because you aren't applying anything. When you start applying things and seeing if they work for you, whether it's they work well or work poorly, it's going to give you clarity. You're going to say, okay, I know I don't need to go down that road because that doesn't work for me. It doesn't necessarily mean that the idea is bad. It just doesn't work for you, but you have to try it in order to know that. This is the same thing that you do in the gym, right? You increase your, what do we say, like your repertoire of exercises, right? When you learn a new exercise, and then you go out and you actually try it to see if it works for yourself, what you're doing is you're increasing your repertoire. You're adding new exercises, new variations, so that when you work out, it's more interesting. You can make more progress, right? So it's the same thing when you're reading. You want to increase your repertoire, add variations, add new exercises. That's kind of the idea. When you're reading, you want to be doing the same thing that you do in the gym. Add, but you can't add if you're not trying anything. So with that said, I want you to take those 2 points, okay? I want you to improve your follow through immediately, because it's such a waste if you're doing reading and you're trying to learn new things, but you just don't feel like you're making that progress. And if the problem is that you're not trying to actually apply anything, in a real world situation, then you can fix that problem. You can follow up, you can follow through, and you can change that immediately, okay? So don't think that you cannot do it, because you can. And I just want to remind you that I do have the VIP retreat in Kyoto, Japan. You can come and you can meet me, and we can show you how to focus and follow through on that really, really important thing that you need to get done in your life, that you need to commit yourself, devote yourself to, that thing that really has meaning and purpose. Okay, so that is the focus and follow through retreat for VIPs. You can go to www.bounciepep.com and you can see that. Okay, just look for 3-day VIP retreat for focus and follow through. It'll be right there. So with that said, this has been Mark Johnson, the founder of Bounce Pep, bringing you ideas for a fit and flourishing future. And I will talk to you next week.